Okay, thank you for joining us today for the 15th meeting of the Lake County Board of Commissioners. If all those who are willing and able would please rise and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance to the flag of our country. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Grant us, O Lord, light to our understanding, prudence in our investigating, foresight in our planning, sincerity in our deliberating, the grace to follow truth in our judgment. Help us to be moved in our decision, neither by fear nor by self-interest, and to do our work faithfully. May we respect the authority vested in us, for thou art the source of all authority, and may we use it in our directives for the common good and for thy honor and glory. Amen.
Amen.
Thank you. Madam Clerk, roll call, please.
Commissioner Serino?
Here.
Commissioner Young? Here. Commissioner Hermachek?
Here. Okay, we have before us the meeting minutes for April 9th, 2020. Do we have a motion to adopt without reading? Same.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, discussion? None being heard. Madam Clerk, roll call, please.
Commissioner Serino?
Yes.
Commissioner Young?
Yes.
Commissioner?
Yes. Okay, this brings us to our resolution portion of the meeting. Madam Clerk, would you please read the resolutions?
I will. In the Engineers Department, a resolution rejecting the bids received on February 19th, 2020, approving the revised specifications and estimates of costs, and authorizing re-advertising for bids for the LAK Bennett Road CR05 resurfacing project, PID number 105936, federal aid number FAN E190613, LCE project number 2018-018, bid opening May 20th.
Move to adopt.
Second. And under discussion, Engineer Gills.
Thank you, Commissioner. This project was bid originally, and it had a scope of work that, for some reason, we got a little bit of mix-up in the office, and the scope was... The original scope of work was for a 25-foot wide roadway, and the design was 24. After reviewing it and discovering some additional drainage problems out there that we were not aware of initially, we decided to pull the project back and to rebid it. We have since widened the road to the 25 feet that we scoped, and we have gotten approval from ODOT to make the storm sewer repairs, which was adding, we found an old 8-inch sanitary, or the storm sewer, not sanitary, that's my old days, storm sewer that was not functioning very well. And since we had a fair amount of federal money left on the table, we decided that it, in the best interest of the project and the residents, and future maintenance, that we would just go ahead and replace it. So we replaced the 8-inch. We were replacing the 8-inch storm sewer with a 12-inch storm sewer, all new, about 6,000 feet. And we still are under our federal budget as well as our match.
Good catch. How's that going to impact the timetable? We're still going to be able to get this through this construction period?
Oh, yes, it'll be done probably now, instead of the end of July, probably about the end of August. So it's the storm sewer is nice thing about storm sewer, it's shallow. It goes in fast.
Excellent, excellent. Further discussion?
No, sir.
Very good. Thank you, sir. Madam Clerk, roll call, please.
Commissioner Serino?
Yes.
Commissioner Young?
Yes.
Commissioner Hermachek?
Yes.
Resolution awarding a bid contract to Osborne Concrete and Stone for roadway materials 2020 as required by the Lake County Engineers Road Department in the amount of $29,580,000 for limestone and $60,500 for plant mix pavements.
Move to adopt.
Second.
Discussion. Jim?
Okay, well, this is our project, our standard contract that we put out every year. This is for materials for miscellaneous road repairs that is used by the maintenance department.
Very good. Further discussion?
No.
Very good. Madam Clerk, roll call, please.
Commissioner Serino?
Yes.
Commissioner Young?
Yes.
Commissioner Hermachek?
Yes.
In the Utilities Department, Resolution certifying sanitary sewer improvement costs to the Lake County Auditor for parcel number 16C-079-K-00-035-0.
Any more dashes that we
I
missed
think
there? You
we're
got 'em all?
good.
Okay. Move to adopt.
Second. And discussion. Randy, did you want to explain all those dashes to us?
Sure, yeah, it's just the parcel number. It shows where this is located. This is a private repair, and we offer homeowners the ability to assess those costs because sometimes they can be significant for a private repair, as long as it's removing clean water from our sanitary sewer. So that's what this resolution is doing.
Very good. Further discussion? Madam Clerk, roll call, please.
Commissioner Sereno?
Yes.
Commissioner Young?
Yes.
Commissioner Hammercheck?
Yes.
Resolution accepting a 3-year maintenance bond in the amount of $6,196.80 for Norton Parkway Area Medical Office Building Sanitary Sewer Extension Job Number 19-45 in the City of Mentor.
Move to adopt.
Second.
And discussion? Madam Clerk, roll call, please.
Commissioner Sereno?
Yes.
Commissioner Young?
Yes.
Commissioner Hammercheck?
Yes.
Resolution authorizing advertising for bids for organic polyelectrolytes polymer for the Lake County Department of Utilities, bid opening May 13th, 2020.
Move to adopt.
Second.
Discussion? Randy, you want to enlighten us?
This is just an annual bid for chemicals in our water treatment process, so something we go through every year.
And it's nothing that we're bringing in special. This is, again, as you said, something that we do routinely.
That's correct, yep, every spring.
Very good. Further discussion?
Nope.
Madam Clerk, roll call, please.
Commissioner Sereno?
Yes.
Commissioner Young?
Yes.
Commissioner Hammercheck?
Yes.
In the Commissioner's office, resolution accepting a grant and authorizing execution of a 2019 Coverdell Grant Agreement, subgrant number 2019 PC NFC 7802, in the amount of $39,891.75 between the Lake County Board of Commissioners on behalf of the Lake County Crime Laboratory and the Office of Criminal Justice Services, effective through December 31st, 2020.
Move to, go ahead, Fran. I'll second it.
And discussion? Mr. Hackman, Jason, do you want to?
Well, Commissioner,
Chime
this
in?
is an annual grant that the crime lab receives for our drug, chemistry, and toxicology section.
Very good. Further discussion?
No.
Madam Clerk, roll call, please.
Commissioner Sereno?
Yes.
Commissioner Young?
Yes.
Commissioner Hammercheck?
Yes.
Resolution authorizing the Lake County Sheriff to enter into an agreement with the Ohio Department of Natural Resources Division of Watercraft to obtain matching funds in the amount of $34,108.28 for Marine Patrol for the year 2020.
Move to adopt.
Second.
Discussion? Jason, did you want to take a swing at that, or do you want me to handle it?
Commissioner, just similar to Dave's comments, this is an annual grant to the Lake County Sheriff's Office for the Marine Patrol, $34,000 with a 25% match for a total cost of about $45,000.
Very good.
Thank you.
Very good. Thank you, sir. Further discussion?
Nope.
Madam Clerk, roll call, please.
Commissioner Sereno?
Yes.
Commissioner Young?
Yes.
Commissioner Hammercheck?
Yes.
Resolution reappointing Brian Falkowski to the Lake Tran Board of Trustees for a 3-year term expiring May 15th, 2023.
Move to adopt.
Second.
Discussion?
Mr. President, if I may.
Yes, sir.
Really, this comment is really applying to this resolution and the next two as well, regarding the Lake Tran appointments. And I would just, for one, we enjoy a great transportation system here in Lake County, and our residents have shown their support with the adoption of a levy last year. And they continue to provide great services, and I just want to congratulate these 3 board members who are currently serving and have asked for an extended term. I'd like to thank them for their service and for their contributions to the community and to the great transportation program that we have here in Lake County.
Well said, sir. Further discussion? Madam Clerk, roll call, please.
Commissioner Sereno?
Yes.
Commissioner Young?
Yes.
Commissioner Hammercheck?
Yes.
Resolution reappointing John P. Martin to the Lake Tran Board of Trustees for a 3-year term expiring May 15th, 2023.
Move to adopt.
Second.
Discussion? Madam Clerk, roll call, please.
Commissioner Sereno?
Yes.
Commissioner Young?
Yes.
Commissioner Hammercheck?
Yes.
Resolution reappointing Lane H. Sheets to the Lake Tran Board of Trustees for a 3-year term expiring May 15th, 2023.
Move to adopt?
Second.
Discussion. None being heard. Madam Clerk, roll call, please.
Commissioner Sereno?
Yes.
Commissioner Young?
Yes.
Commissioner Hammercheck?
Yes.
In the Finance Department, resolution approving payments of bills as listed on the Commissioner's Approval Journal in the amount of $2,434,217.11.
Move to adopt?
Second.
Discussion. None being heard. Madam Clerk, roll call, please.
Commissioner Sereno?
Yes.
Commissioner Young?
Yes.
Commissioner Hammercheck?
Yes.
Resolution approving purchase orders as listed on the Commissioner's Purchase Order Approval Journal in the amount of $5,467,648.67.
Move to adopt.
Second?
Discussion. None being heard. Madam Clerk, roll call, please.
Commissioner Sereno?
Yes.
Commissioner Young?
Yes.
Commissioner Hammercheck?
Yes.
Resolution increasing appropriations for various general and non-general fund accounts.
Move to adopt?
Second. Discussion. None being heard. Madam Clerk, roll call, please.
Commissioner Sereno?
Yes.
Commissioner Young?
Yes.
Commissioner Hammercheck?
Yes.
Resolution transferring cash within various non-general fund accounts.
Move to adopt.
Second?
Discussion. None being heard. Madam Clerk, roll call, please.
Commissioner Sereno?
Yes.
Commissioner Young?
Yes.
Commissioner Hammercheck?
Yes.
And in special resolutions, a resolution declaring April 2020 Fair Housing Month in Lake County, Ohio.
Move to adopt?
Second.
Discussion, and I do have some points here, if I may share them. Here's some of the high points. The fair housing rights apply to all of us since we all fall within one or more of the protected classes: race, color, religion, national origin, ethnicity, gender, sex, family status, and disability. Let's see, we got the fair housing laws exist at local, state, and federal level. Lake County is fortunate to have an office locally, the Fair Housing Resource Center Incorporated. With 20 years of experience, this agency has the distinction of being a HUD-certified housing counseling agency and a winner of several direct federal grants under the Fair Housing Initiatives Program for both education and outreach, about $100,000, as well as a private enforcement, $300,000. That has been successful in the federal funds we receive through Community Development Block Grant and the HOME program, carry with an obligation to affirmatively further fair housing, meaning to do more than just respond to instances of discrimination, but to take actions that provide opportunities to all. Housing locations impact the quality of a person's life as it relates to health, education, job, and other opportunities. To assist in our grant applications for Community Development Block Grant and HOME, a special Fair Housing information page is available on the PCD website with links to an array of information. Let's see, an assessment of fair housing as required by HUD was prepared and is available at the office website and referenced in the resolution. The assessment identifies a disconnect between areas of opportunity and areas where there is concentrations of low-income households, racial and or ethnic minority households. So there's a little bit of background on this one. Any further discussion?
No, sir.
Madam Clerk, roll call, please.
Commissioner Sereno?
Yes.
Commissioner Young?
Yes.
Commissioner Hammercheck?
Yes. Okay, this brings us to our departmental reports portion of our meeting. Utilities, Randy.
Thank you, Commissioner. Just an update on everything we're doing. We are able to continue to produce safe water, drinking water, and treat wastewater. We've had no issues with chemical deliveries or supply deliveries. Really want to say thank you to all of our employees who have really gone an extra mile and really stepped up and are doing a fantastic job out there. We are doing the social distancing, working separately as much as we possibly can, and I think we have no foreseeable issues moving forward. We're continuing with our capital improvement projects. We have some projects that'll be out for bid here in the next probably 2 or 3 weeks. and we are also hiring consultants for next year's construction season. We did have to, unfortunately, cancel our first 3 collections that are for special collections for solid waste. That's electronics, TVs, and tires. Hopefully, residents will hold on to those items until we're able to resume those collections. Other than that, everything's normal.
Very good. Again, just want to amplify the appreciation of you and your team. We're hearing a lot of good things. We appreciate the diligence and how well your team has adjusted and adapted to these circumstances. That means a great deal. And the infrastructure projects, that's something that's going to keep the economy here in Lake County going. You've held to your schedules. You're keeping an eye on the future. Any more you want to add to that? There's some pretty significant projects that you've got in the queue. Anything you, I apologize to ask you to shoot from the hip here, but.
Certainly, yeah. We budget about $4 to $5 million a year in sewer and in wastewater for construction projects, for infrastructure improvements. It's really an investment in our systems to make sure that we have the infrastructure to continue to provide these services for years down the road.
So we're going to be maintaining reliability, overall delivery, quality of service. You know, we've changed the policy as far as tap-in fees. You know, that's something that now is in play. So we're basing on actual meter size and actual usage rather than some EPA formulas. Those are going to be helping with our developers and architects and engineers.
Yeah, I think that it's going to work out real well for the development. It's going to be very clear on our capacity fees, how they're developed and how they're calculated, and I think more fair also. So yeah, that's a step in the right direction.
Excellent, excellent. Anything else for our utilities?
Nope.
Thank you, sir.
You're welcome.
Okay, moving on to County Administrator Jason.
Good afternoon, or excuse me, good one. Just a couple quick points. Obviously, we're closely following Governor DeWine and state officials as we approach the May 1st date as far as the stay-at-home order and kind of what the reopening looks like as it relates to governmental operations. Clearly, our operations are working very well at the present time, but I'm putting an increased focus on what that might look like down the road for the county, so we'll have more information on that. I've asked our department heads to begin thinking along those lines as well. What does the new normal look like to ensure that we're meeting the needs of the citizens, protect the safety of our employees. So more to come on that over the next few weeks to a month. Secondly, keeping an eye on activities in Washington, D.C. as far as, you know, they had the package 3.5 yesterday and being passed, I think, today by the House. Conversations with NACO, CCAO, our senators, congressmen about does package 4 look like, and what some flexible assistance for state and local governments as far as general operations, replace the revenues that we were certain we're going to see decrease. I'm hearing that's probably not going to occur until the first week of May when Congress is back in session. So I think we'll keep our eyes on what that looks like and see if there's any resources coming to Lake County. And finally, I would like to share, we mentioned a week or two ago about the grocery program for seniors in Lake County. It's been a huge success. The county, Leah Barajas from your department, Lake Tran, Lifeline, some senior centers, Council on Aging have all been tremendous partners to the point where we had some significant media coverage last week. And one piece in particular I thought was put together well, was comprehensive, and it was Channel 5. So without objection, I'd like to turn it over to Mike to show about a 2-minute clip of the success of our grocery program and also indicate that we're going to continue that for a few more weeks using senior levy dollars that county commissioners appropriate, as well as the commitment from other funding sources. So Mike, if you would mind taking it away. Thank you.
Tran employees, along with community members, volunteer their time to put fresh produce, dry and canned food items into bags, onto Lake Tran buses, and then out to the seniors who need them.
Seniors like Marianne Kelly.
This really helps me out.
She's one of the 400 to 500 seniors enrolled in Lake County's in-home grocery delivery program. It's specifically for seniors who can't get to the stores themselves.
Can't see to drive. I do not have a car, and it's very difficult for me to see the items that I want to buy.
The program's funds come from the county's Senior Services Levy and the United Way, but most of the manpower comes from Lake Tran. Ridership is down, so CEO Ben Capel is having his staff shift gears to find new ways to serve the community.
Well, I was on a phone call with a group of people about what needs the seniors had right now, and groceries was a big one. They can't get out of their house.
Twice a week, volunteers start their day at the Lake Tran Garage in Paynesville to put together bags of food for seniors. Some of the food comes from the Greater Cleveland Food Bank. The rest is purchased. Once the bags are packed, bus drivers step in. Depending on the day, 8 to 15 buses hit the road, making anywhere from 10 to 45 deliveries per bus.
This isn't even that much different for us than what we would do on a normal day because our whole purpose in Lake County is to help people.
And even though they're helping Kelly in her time of need, she still wanted to give back by offering a donation to the food bank because she knows how much it's needed.
Our church has a food bank, so I know that they're always short on money. So I just automatically do it. I mean, I have the money to buy the groceries, it's just getting out and getting them. That's my hardest part.
The program is scheduled to run until the stay-at-home order is lifted at the end of the month. If it is extended, officials will reassess funding to see if the program can continue. In Lake County, Jay Jarvis, News 5.
Very nice.
Jason, good choice.
Yeah. I think, Commissioners, this was a good meeting with the reappointment of the Lake Tran board members. And echo Commissioner Serino's comments about the value add that Lake Tran provides even in these most uncertain times. So congratulations to all those agencies. Kudos to the commissioners for giving Aaliyah the ability to use our funds and as we always do, try to meet the one of our most vulnerable populations. So thank you, and that concludes my report.
Very good. Thank you, sir. Finance, I'm just going to give a brief statement. We are, again, remain strong, but we're looking at reevaluating our certificate of anticipated revenues. We're working closely with our treasurer and our auditor. We're going to be reviewing budget capabilities and where we're at. So, we're staying on top of this and being very realistic. We're going to be following up with Mike Matus, our budget and finance director here in the coming days. So, more on that to come. And Madam Clerk.
I really don't have anything.
Oh, come on. Jennifer's always got something. Come on now. You got big shoes to fill.
Our meeting is next Thursday, April 30th at 10 o'clock.
There you go. See how easy that was?
Could have put more dashes in that statement,
Well, you did good. You did good. Thank you, ma'am. Okay. Legal. Mr. Hackman.
No reports, Commissioner.
Very good. Thank you, sir. Okay, now this one's kind of a hybrid of you're really not a department. It mixes old business, new business. So I'm going to throw to Engineer Gills, our Madison Avenue situation. Would you be amenable to discuss it at this point in the meeting? You're kind of a hybrid, so we're...
Whoa.
Yeah.
Wow.
You
Really
fit
good.
so many categories.
It's the nicest thing he's been called in a while.
I'm not so sure I'm not a department, but not just the commissioner's department.
There you go. There you go. We're all part of the team here.
Explain just for people who might be streaming here, just exactly where this is and what the problem.
Yeah.
Jim.
Okay. Nothing like being surprised. This particular problem is occurring on Madison Avenue down by Woodward in Paynesville Township. Madison Avenue runs along the Grand River at this particular point and is much higher than the Grand River, so it's a pretty big drop over the side, and there are residents on the north side. The river is on the south side. What I have given you today is some pictures, which I would like to go through. The first photograph is, the first two are from Google Earth. The first one is Madison Avenue in the area that we're going to be talking about, and was taken in August of 2018. And you can see the area in question is where that catch basin is, just to the east of it. We'll be looking at, and you can see that the guardrail is nice and straight, the curb's nice and straight. We have a few little cracks in the roadway, and the retaining wall on the south side is nice and straight. The next photograph was taken in May of 2019, and you can again see the catch basin. You can see the aging, cracking, and so forth. The guardrail is straight, the curb is straight, the wall is straight. The next photograph was taken on 4/17. Now, the interesting part about this story is that on the particular morning of last Friday, one of our employees that travels this road all the time came in and said, "Hey guys, we have a sinking area around a catch basin at Woodward, and the guardrail's bent, and we ought to go out and take a look at it." So we rallied the troops and went out, and the picture you're seeing, you can see that now the curb has dropped quite a bit, the guardrail has dropped quite a bit, but the wall, at least the cap on the wall, is straight. The next picture was taken after we closed the road on the weekend when we had some rain, and you can see the major cracks that start at the catch basin and go east, and that looks like the area that is either dropping or beginning to slide. You can see the water where the dip is. It's quite a pretty good sized area. Again, on this picture, the wall looks very straight. The next picture is interesting because it's the top of the wall, and you can see daylight through the wall at this particular top. Now, the interesting part about this is if you look at the cap, there's no corrosion, but there's quite a bit of corrosion along the wall. Now, this is really not as serious as you might think at the top of the wall, because this is where the snow is pushed against with the salt and so forth. However, this wall is only 28 years old.
Oh.
These walls are supposed to last 50 years. So we have a high degree of corrosion for whatever reason along this wall, and we are investigating that from the standpoint is, number one, did they put in the right material? Now, like sheet piling is like everything else. It has thicknesses and so forth depending on what your condition is and so forth. So normally the design should be, normally the design is for 50 years in this particular case, in this particular application. So that's something that we're going to be taking a close look at. But the guys went down, or didn't go down, it's pretty far down. But looking over, the next picture looks over the top, and we have erosion at the base where this dip is, and there is also a pretty good stream of water running and creating a ditch that you can see by the arrows down towards the river, which is washing that out. And we think probably the base of the sheet pile may be exposed quite a bit. And however, we were able to get a little bit of a look down underneath this beam, and the sheet piling is bowed, and it's bowed for about 40 to 60 feet wide. So, having that information, on Friday we called our consultant, Baker, who did the evaluation of the wall on Vrooman Road, and today, as we are sitting here speaking, they are rappelling over down the side of that wall to inspect the wall. Now that wall is it's about an 80-foot drop there, and so it's a pretty good sized drop. It's fairly close to the river. It is very difficult to walk from one end to the other because this wall extends for quite a distance. So the initial thought is, well, let's find out what this particular section is doing, find out what the fix is, and then we will inspect the rest of the wall after all that is done. The good news about this is, there's good and bad news, that was the bad news. The good news about this is that we put off improving Madison Avenue last year, which the township wasn't really very happy about because it is in pretty bad shape, and that was because of the school construction. In the meantime, we've received federal money to do this particular project. Our original estimate had money in to replace the catch basins because we thought they were in bad shape. Upon further inspection, we discovered they aren't in that bad a shape, and that only a small portion of the money that we had allocated for that needs to be used to fix the catch basins. Mostly the area above the precast units, the brick area, and just needs to be replaced. It's all deteriorating. So that leaves us about $300,000 in that federal pot plus our match. So we've already talked to NOACA. NOACA has given us permission to add whatever the fix is to our Madison Avenue contract, and we don't think that there's going to be a big problem talking to ODOT and the feds and getting permission to do it, depending on what it is and how extensive it is. So, having said that, what that means basically is there's a good possibility that 80% of the costs can be paid for out of the present grant that we already have. We will move the design of the road forward and try to get it bid after the 1st of July. 1st of July starts the fiscal year, which that money is coming to us. We'll try to get that bid certainly by the end of July or August, and get them out there and start a fix, whatever that fix may be. So that's kind of where we are. We have all hands on deck. This is the #1 project for us at the present moment. And as I get the information fed to me about what's going on and what we need, I will pass it on to the board and the public.
Just for a little bit of scope, so something we can use as a comparable, this is very similar to what was done at the Vrooman Road area in '84.
I think this will be a little bit different, because it was a temporary fix because we're going to take the road out. This has to be permanent.
Okay.
So, and I have no idea. One of the critical issues is the water. We really think that the water, the hydraulic pressure has pushed this out. We'll probably be talking to Randy about a possible broken water line. It's clear, it's running clear. Then we'll check the groundwater table, things like that. Normally you would design the wall including a certain amount of water to the groundwater table, but with all the rain we've had over the last recent years, that groundwater table may have risen, and hydraulic pressure is a lot, and particularly when you're talking about 75, 80 feet up. Mm-hmm. You know, that's a lot. That's a lot of pressure at the bottom of the wall. So, having said that, you know, we're waiting to see what the consultant says, and we'll take the next step.
So, excuse me, pardon me, the erosion is not unlike what we see sometimes with the lakefront, where hydraulic pressure is coming actually from underneath and pushing out toward the lake, right?
That's correct.
Sort of
the erosion here is is partially from the water that's leaking out from under it,
right,
and partially from high water. You know, this is on a curve, and the upside of the curve in the river is against the wall, and along that piece of land there. So that's right. It's constant eroding. You might remember that between the time we bid the two projects on Vrooman Road, we lost 4 feet of distance between our pier and the edge of the water, which created some additional expense. So this is the same kind of thing. Now, it's entirely possible that we might want to go down there and armor plate that section of the river against that wall as part of this project, but that's all, part of what we have to find out.
Okay. And just continuing on the topic, so there was a lot of discussion about the age of the wall. It's been determined to be newer than originally thought. Originally we were thinking in the 40-year range. It's
Yeah,
actually much
we
newer.
thought this wall originally was done in the 70s, but we pulled out the plans and discovered it was done in 92. So it's, it's not that old.
And the other discussion that's out in the public is all the construction traffic from the new school. Do you believe that had
Has nothing to do with it.
nothing to do with it? Okay. Just trying to get as many questions out there from the public,
Yeah.
asked and answered as possible. Further discussion on that point?
No?
Okay, so now that we got our hybrid taken care of, moving on to old business. Do we have old business to come before us? Okay, I will give a quick update on some old business. We did get the official letter from the Ohio Department of Transportation acknowledging, and I'll just cut right to the chase, that US Route 20 in Madison Township between Route 528 and County Line Road is going to remain 4 lanes. So congratulations. I think this was a tremendous example of state, county, locals all working well together. I must say that our mayors and city managers did a tremendous job of getting letters of support. And I also want to thank NOACA. It was I think this is almost unheard of. I'll throw this to Jim Gills. He's kind of got the most experience over there. This is unheard of, that funding was tied to satisfying Madison Township. Jim, that's pretty unique.
Yeah, that's pretty unique. That's I can't remember when it's happened in the 19 and a third years that I've been involved in NOACA, but I think that was proper for them to do. Everybody was against it. It's NOACA kind of indicated that they agreed that it was not good for the region, and that's what they're all about.
There you go. So I'm gonna take just a little bit of credit on that one. I was the individual who introduced that amendment, and our colleagues worked well with us. So there does seem to be a unique opportunity that we're seeing, locals, our region, everybody working together. So I think that is a theme that we need to keep building on.
Mr. President, I'd just like to say that I don't think everyone would have been working together if it hadn't been for Commissioner John Hambercheck standing up and rallying the troops. So
That's very kind of you.
commend you on that.
Agreed.
Job well
Agreed.
done.
Agreed.
Thank you, gentlemen. Appreciate the support. Continuing on with some old business, let me give a quick update. NOACA, speaking of NOACA, did put in for the direct payment for, I'm going to call it the federal stimulus of populations of 500,000 or more. Not sure if it's going to be approved or not, but the good news is, the benefit is, we have gotten ourselves on the radar of state and federal, because you all heard me talk about government math. Well, this is an example that interpretations, I believe the phrase that we keep hearing is perception is reality, and I don't like that. We are working on securing Lake County's portion of, there's $4.5 billion that's being allocated to Ohio. And of that, right now, $2.2 billion is in the hands of the state. Now, here's where it gets interesting. We were looking for, and when I say we, the state of Ohio, the local governments, we're looking for some guidance from the federal treasury. They haven't really given us any clear guidance as to how that money can be spent. Therefore, the distribution is a little bit problematic. Right now, the distribution, though, should be of that $4.5 billion, 55% to the state of Ohio, 45% to the counties. And I will say that on today's Mayors and City Managers discussion, Commissioner Young and I were discussing the issue of making sure that accounting takes place. This is one of those times where every municipality has to account for COVID-19 related expenses. Anything that changed or additional needs to be documented, and this goes back to the encouragement over the last few years that we pushed on accounting for the opioid crisis. We're encouraging that same model be followed, which is one of the reasons why Lake County has scored so highly in any proposed settlement dollars. We've been working very hard to say, hey, you've demonstrated success here, now take those same disciplines and move them forward. I will tell you that NOACA also participated with the MPO, that's the Metropolitan Planning Organization out of the Toledo area, and that showed an interesting contrast. It showed, and again, this is a little bit technical, but again, government math. That MPO is what's called a COG. Let's see, it's a, so good heavens, I'm trying to figure out what COG even stands for. My apologies. Council of Governments. Whereas our NOACA is more of a partnership of all of the member communities all have a voice, and that's where it shows a distinction, which sometimes you can compare and contrast, and I'm looking over at legal here. That's one way to get people to interpret the intent of legislation when you can compare and contrast. And that's something that we're trying to do, to have multiple levels to ensure that Lake County is going to be receiving our fair share of the stimulus dollars. And speaking of stimulus dollars, Commissioner Serino, I think I might want to let you do this one, because I'm going to say thank you, because I'm big on infrastructure, and I'm going to say you were the heavy lifter behind our $1.5 million program. Would you care to comment on that one?
Sure. Thank you, Mr. President. We started a process in December of last year where the commissioners allocated out of some discretionary funding normally related to economic development, and we decided that the infrastructure needs of the county were requiring some additional support from the commissioner's office. So we decided to allocate to cities, townships, and villages based on the number of registered vehicles, which was the most fair way, we believe, to allocate these dollars, and in the amount of $1.5 million. So we've issued a press release this morning from the Commissioner's office indicating that as of now, all of the political subdivisions who were awarded these grants have met the requirements that we laid out for them in December, which included passing a resolution or an ordinance in their city, village, or township, accepting it and agreeing to the terms and conditions that we had attached to it. And so we are expecting checks to be issued in the next several days. And we've attached to the press release a reminder of how much is going to each political subdivision. Again, in many cases, it ranges from a few $100,000 to $20,000 or $30,000 or $50,000, but nonetheless, it's not intended to take over major projects, but intended to be incrementally supportive of projects that the subdivisions already have planned for this year. And we are excited to be able to help them. And this is, again, on top of things for the villages and townships that the engineer's office is also doing. So I think the commissioner's commitment in 2020 and all the way back to 2019, when additional dollars are made available through financing, that we are taking the improvements in the infrastructure in Lake County very, very seriously. And so I commend my colleagues for agreeing to all of this back in December, and we're delighted that the checks are going to be issued to the subdivisions at this point. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. If I could just amplify that just a bit. Again, I want to say thank you, because infrastructure is something that really just doesn't go seen, but that's been something that I've been a real champion for, and I thank you for satisfying that. And I appreciate that we were able to come up with a formula, because I think you're starting to see this government math. If you don't have a formula, you've got nothing. And the formula we went with was the Ohio Department of Taxation's model about registered vehicles in a community, and that was universally accepted. And again, another example of our county and our local governments all working together, and it was a dollar amount that everybody accepted, and a methodology and a formula that everybody accepted. So those are very important. And Commissioner Young, did you want to chime in on this little bit of good news here to our local communities?
Yeah, I just like to say that watching the way Lake County works together is really, it makes me feel honored to serve this county. The communities work extremely well together, and the emphasis on infrastructure is so important and yet so easy to overlook, because the changes that we see every year are not dramatic. It's not the kind of thing where our clients, the citizens of Lake County, are constantly looking at the cracks in the road and how much the guardrail is out of proper configuration this year as compared to 5 years ago, so on and so forth. But it's the type of thing where if we don't invest every year on a continual basis, that 10 years from now, it would put us in such a hole that it'd be almost financially impossible to dig out of. So I really like the responsible way that we approach it. I think as commissioners, we try to, with the guidance from our local communities. So when we can give discretionary dollars out like this, trusting the communities to spend it properly and responsibly and professionally, and it works, I think that's a testimony to this county and the people of Lake County.
Well said, and I justify, again, continuing amplifying the issue of working well together. Just as an example, yesterday, you represented this board at the West Side Chamber of Commerce video conference. That's much appreciated. As you can imagine, there are a number of demands on our time, and we're kind of carving things up here amongst the three of us, and just because you don't see one of us or a couple of us at an event doesn't mean that we're not there. We work well together. We've got good, strong ties. I can tell you that freed me up to be able to be working with Senator Portman and getting this issue of funding here for Lake County directly addressed. I want to say a very special thank you to Congressman Dave Joyce and his staff, as well as Senator Portman and his staff. We're getting some really good support, and they're appreciative that we're raising some unique questions. One of the backstory issues was the magic number of 500,000 actually came from New York. For them, 500,000 is a good number. For us, that means that there's basically 5 responsive communities that could lay claim to that. So not to belabor the issue, but again, there's a lot of examples of things that are going on behind the scenes, a lot of good collegial relationships, and that's impressive. So there's a little bit of a changing tide, at least here in Lake County and in Ohio, so to speak. So is there any other old business? Okay, new business. Oh, I'm sorry. Jim, county engineer.
Yeah, along that same thought, first of all, most of the townships have piggybacked on our massive road bids this summer and saved themselves some dollars using these particular funds. So that was very positive for them. Secondly, today is the first day asphalt is going down on Chapel Road. Hope to be done with that road at the end of the day, and that's part of our $12.5 million paving program that we're using the new $5 license plate for. So all is good. Infrastructure is on a roll. All we need is some sun.
Absolutely. And hey, as long as we're all having some talk about good things, because there is actually good news, that's a paving program based on that $5 that County Engineer Gills and our board worked out, getting basically a 12-year backlog, very aggressively done in 2.5 years and paid for. And we're holding true to promises made, promises kept. Again, infrastructure. You know, if you want to have good businesses and you want to have people living in Lake County, you know, it's nice to have good curb appeal when you've actually got good curbs and pavement under your feet. Jim, did you want to add on to that?
No, I don't think I could add much more to that other than the fact that, you know, Lake County, at Lake County, we've always had an aggressive program of looking for outside funds and a good success rate, keeping our roads and bridges up to speed. We've gone from, when I first came in, from almost the bottom of the pile on the bridge condition to we're in the top 10 now. So our intent is to keep it rolling. All we need to do is put people back on the road and start buying gas. Buy gas. Buy gas.
I'd like to buy it and store it, if I could.
On that point, again, this is informational, but why is that so important to your department?
That's very important to our department because that is the prime source of our budget. I get no money from the county commissioners other than my offices, and all of my money comes from the state and from gas tax and license plates. So if you don't drive and you don't buy lots of plates, I can't work.
And there you go. And that's, and this goes back to that formula issue. And again, not to beat this horse, 1/88th, the monies are split equally on the gas tax. Doesn't matter if you've got 20,000 people in your county, or in our case, 230,000. They don't care about lane miles, road miles. That's the concern, and that's the canary in the mine. So we need to be on guard as to how dollars are divvied up. Okay, new business.
Mr. President,
Sir.
I just have a few comments, if I may. The comments from the engineer are very well taken in terms of explaining where his source of funding is, or is not, as the case may be here for a while. But I did want to remind all of our residents who may be listening that the county commissioner's office largely depends upon sales tax in order to operate the general fund. We get a few dollars from some other sources, but largely it's sales tax, as are all the counties in the state. And with businesses being closed, with Great Lakes Mall being closed, and restaurants closed, and so on, and other retail establishments, sales tax revenue is going to come in substantially under expectations. We are still working through, as Commissioner Hamercheck mentioned earlier, what the implications are going to be, and we'll be meeting and talking with our treasurer and our finance director about this in the coming weeks. But we have got to get our arms around what we think that shortfall will be, not just during the closure, but as we look at what the rate of recovery might be. We have to make some assumptions. We're not going to go from 0 to 60 miles an hour when things are lifted here. And so we're going to have to be looking at our expenditure levels and also our budget plans for next year. And we're going to have to be very realistic. We can't spend more than we are taking in. I am not overly optimistic about more federal support for the next tranche of aid related to the virus. Perhaps something will happen, I don't know, but I'm very much less optimistic this time than I have been for the first 4 tranches of support. I mentioned last week, Mr. President, that talking with a lot of small businesses, as all the commissioners have been, and I think they're all looking forward to perhaps being able to open up May 1st or even some before. We understand the governor is going to make some announcements today or tomorrow about the opening plans. He alluded to some of them yesterday in his press release, but we need to get business back and running in Lake County here. Not only because it's the right thing to do, but because Lake County and the health department is our source of information here. Lake County is actually managed through this process of the virus very, very well above state averages in many, many other counties, with only 6 fatalities related to the COVID-19 virus. Obviously, 6 is 6 too many. But relative to what was expected and what the curve originally was modeled to look like, the county has done very well by abiding by the governor's processes and changes and restrictions on operating. So we look forward to having those lifted as soon as possible and getting our businesses back up and running and slowing down that rate of increase in those applying for unemployment compensation, which is going to be a very big drag on our economy. The last thing I'll mention is that we have received notification from HUD of an addition to our 2019 allocation for community development block grants and of a little over $800,000, and the commissioners are going to be opening up a public process soon, very soon, that will allow us to accept applications for a number of different aid packages, and the commissioners are very committed to substantially allocating that amount from HUD in order to aid small businesses. Could take the form of grants or loans. We're still working through some of the details of that, but we understand that businesses need to hire people and need to be producing revenue for the county as well. And we're going to be doing this process very, very quickly and allocating the funds. And HUD has promised to adjudicate all of our processes very quickly to make sure that we get the funding so that we can get it in the hands of businesses as well as other areas that we will be allocating funding to. So I guess this would fall under the category of more good news, Mr. President. That
Indeed.
$822,000 will be transferred to area businesses and other entities that are supporting our response to the COVID-19 virus outbreak. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, sir. And Commissioner Young?
Yeah, I'd just like to say, in addition to what Commissioner Serino is mentioning, with the emphasis on business with these new monies, I think that's critical. That's so critical. You know, without the operations of business, we can't operate. As government, we are wholly, totally, and absolutely dependent upon the success of the private sector. Every penny of funding we get, one way or another, at the end of the line, comes from business. So it's important we support the operations of the business community here in Lake County. If we have a little bit of seed money and we can invest it into that sector, it will bear fruit that will profit the whole county in every way. It'll even save lives. You know, it's interesting. It's been shown that as poverty levels go up, the death rate goes up. And every service that we offer, whether it's children's services, food stamps, Medicaid, whatever, it's all based on the success of the business community. So I agree with the commissioner's sentiments that the emphasis needs to focus on business, and I'm very supportive of that. Thank you.
Very good. And you're probably hearing an awful lot of detail. Well, we do not have an audience. You are the audience, and we're trying to live stream and share as much of the story, what's going on. We're trying to leverage the strength of the county so that we can do a comeback that'll be impressive. We've laid the groundwork for the last several years for some really great building initiatives, and we've had to adjust those, but it shows the flexibility, and this is where you keep hearing the theme about the cooperation with our local elected officials, our region. We're working with and relying on our House reps, our senators, our state senators. We are working very diligently to make sure that Lake County is well positioned to come out of this as strong as possible. There are challenges, there will be challenges. We appreciate the cooperation of the public. It is a real pleasure to be getting a lot of positive feedback of the interactions. Our utilities department, the praise about the level of professionalism and the interactions, it's very comforting. And that means a great deal as an elected official. Our mayors and city managers discussions, we meet bi-weekly, and they are friendly, collegial. It's good, and those are all positive things that we need to keep building on. And with that, I would also add, I've been hearing some discussions and concerns about the upcoming election, and I have to emphasize, because some people seem to have missed the memo, April 28th is the end of the primary. So it's not too late to request an absentee ballot form. So sincerely, if you want to pick up the phone, call the Board of Elections. Their phone number is 350-2700. One of their staffers will walk you through the process of a absentee ballot request. You can also go online, lakecountyohio.gov, click on departments, go to Board of Elections, and right there will also be where you can request an absentee ballot form. You can actually print off your request. If for some reason you can't print it, again, call the Board of Elections and they'll walk you through the process. They're good people. They're making a real effort. Your voice can be heard. It is up to you. You do have an opportunity to safely and responsibly cast your vote, and there's been some miscommunication as to what the original date was talked about when the election was postponed or extended. I'm not sure what language they were using at the time, but April 28th is the day. So if you're going to get something in, it has to be postmarked if you're doing it by mail by the 27th, or you can use our drop box right here just off the square. Also on the heading of good stuff, I'm going to give a well done to our County Recorder Becky Lynch, one of the vendors for them, Fiddler Technology Incorporated. They are offering a fairly significant donation to a charitable organization of their choice, and Recorder Lynch has chosen Birthright for the donation of this generous gift. So that's Birthright Lake County Incorporated. Let's see, and on a new business, if I could also, our census. We are doing very well here in Ohio and in Lake County. Just a couple of numbers. We've got the nation as a whole. The last numbers I have before me is a response rate of 51.0%. Ohio is at 54.7%. And I'm proud to say that Lake County is at 61.5%. Many of our communities are really stepping up. We do have some challenges, though. You know, there was a strategy where we were planning on using congregate sites such as libraries where people could access public computers to do this. That's not working, but that's okay because we've got plenty of opportunities. You know, if you do have the means to electronically log on, there is always the census website. It's www.2020census.gov. You can follow through on that process. But here's the surprise. The overwhelming majority of responses, people are very pleased to be using the phone number. You can actually call the census, and the census is 1-844-330-2020. Again, that's 1-844-330-2020 or 2020. Doesn't take long to do, very important. Given, again, going to circle back to formulas. The federal relief that we're looking at, it's based on population. It's based on impact of that population, and that is determined by the census. So this is very important. We need to take this seriously, and even in a crisis, we do have responsibilities, and the census is constitutionally mandated. Again, Lake County is doing well, but we're not done, so keep going. With that, do we have any other new business to come before the board?
Nope.
Sir? Okay. All right. Well, do we have a motion to adjourn this meeting?
Second?
Discussion. None being heard. Madam Clerk, roll call, please.
Commissioner Sereno?
Yes.
Commissioner Young?
Yes.
Commissioner Hammercheck?
Yes. Thank you for joining us. This meeting stands adjourned.